Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on August 11th, 2018. If you'd like to play my game Decoding the Powerball, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. I have 7 strategies with my game Decoding the Powerball. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to demonstrate on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 10, 21, 30, 43, and 63. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list, and then I take the last 3 drawings of numbers because it matches up with this red area right here, and I transfer these numbers over to the game card as red numbers. Then I'll do the same thing with the orange area, the green, the blue, and the purple. I have 5 different colors, one to represent each one of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so how this works is, again, there's 69 white ball numbers. I divided them among 5 colors, which equals 13.8. Okay, so my goal is to get to as close as 13 or 14 as possible per color. Okay, so for this drawing here, I have 13 red numbers, 14 orange, 13 green, 13 blue, and 16 purple. And the number of colors change with every drawing. Okay, so over here to the right, this 253. This tells me how many color code drawings I kept track of so far. And again, these are the color code drawings, okay? So out of this 253 drawings, 133 have come up a 3-color combination. 87 drawings have come up a 4-color combination. 24 drawings have come up a 2-color combination, and only 9 times out of 253 drawings have all 5 colors come up together. And never has it been just 1 color. Okay, so this number right here, this number 3, this tells me how many colors just came up in the last drawing. So you can see that there was 1 orange number, 3 green numbers, and a purple for 3 colors total. Okay, so what I do is I try to correctly guess how many colors will be coming up in the next drawing. Okay, so more than half the time, it does come up a 3-color combination. Okay, so the overall strategy is to eliminate numbers. Okay, so again, there's 69 white ball numbers total. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners, so that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. Okay, so for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. Okay, so to help me out with that, I'm going to turn to how all 5 colors hardly ever come up together. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these colors won't be coming up, and then eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so when I look at this, and we're all going to look at this differently, okay, but when I look at it, I say I don't think any orange numbers are going to come up. Okay, so that means that I'm going to block out this orange number on the game card. Okay, so to speed things up, I'm going to scroll to the right. And you can see that there's no orange numbers on the game card anymore. Okay, so when I block out a number like this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the Power Play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these orange numbers will come up in the next drawing. Okay, so if I'm correct with my bet and none of these orange numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers, okay? And how this works is up at the very top is the master for each individual number, okay? And over here to the side is the numbers that just came up in the drawing. Again, it was the 10, 21, 30, 43, and 63, okay? So that turns out to be a 5-group combination, okay? So I'm going to reduce this down so you can see what I'm talking about, okay? So what you're going to see is that I took the 69 numbers and divided it into 7 different groups, okay? So group number 1 holds the numbers of 1 through 9, and this is the only group with 9 numbers. And then the other 6 groups have 10 numbers to them, okay? So the next group is 10 to 19, and then it's the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Again, for 7 groups total, okay? So there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers, okay? So I know that 2 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it, okay? So the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card, okay? So how I work this here is this big square right here. This is good for 5 drawings, okay? So I break it down into 5 for a couple reasons, okay? The first reason is that when I go back into the history of things, it's easier to count going 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on, okay? But my other theory is that if there's a lot of hits within this 5 drawings for like this 40 numbers here, then maybe in the next 5 there won't be so many hits. Okay, so, or vice versa. Okay, so that's kind of how I look at things. Again, I think it should be easier to eliminate numbers than to guess the 5 that would actually be coming up. Okay, so for this drawing here, I'm going to guess that no 20 numbers will be coming up. Okay, and the reason why is because I just look at this and I see that it's just been on a really hot streak here, like over here with the 40s. And I just think that it's just due to miss. That's all. So I don't think any 20 numbers are going to come up. So I want to get rid of them. And I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to blow this back up. So again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. So you may look at it and say, no, I don't think any 40 numbers are going to come up. Or any 30s. Okay, so again, we're just going to look at this a little bit different from each other. Okay, so how I use this is that you could highlight like one number like the 63 and you could go back into the history to see what colors they have been. Okay, so if it hasn't been orange in a while, like right here, and it's in that orange area, then maybe you want to consider taking the 63 here. Okay. Another way I use it is I try to correctly guess how many groups will be hit. Okay, so the last 2 drawings, all 5 groups were hit. Okay, 5 out of 7 groups were hit. Okay, so you can see that the 10 is in one group, the 20s are in the 20 group, the 30s in the 30 group, the 40s in the 40 group, and the 60s in the 60 group. Okay, for 5 groups. Okay, so most of the time, though, it comes up either a 4 or a 3, okay? So you can see how much those numbers come up than the 5, okay? And every once in a blue moon, a 2 will pop up. Okay, so here's a 2. You can see that it was the 22 and 23, and then the 62, 63, and 66 for 2 groups total. Okay, so I've never seen a 1 before. I've never seen all 5 winning Powerball numbers be all 60 numbers, okay, or 50s or whatnot, okay. So again, I just go by what comes up the most, you know. So I'm kind of thinking that I haven't seen a 3 in a while, okay. So it's been 5, 6, 7 drawings. So I'm kind of expecting a 3 here, okay. So I think we'll hit 3 of these groups. Okay, so when I pick my numbers, I want it to represent 3 out of these 7 groups. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the game card. And again, I don't think any 20 numbers are going to come up, so I'm going to scroll to the right to speed things up. And now you can see that there's no orange numbers from the color code, and now no 20 numbers from the individual numbers. Okay, so how this works is if I made the correct guesses here, okay, and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 3, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers. Okay, so what I did is I took just the 69 numbers and divided it into 4 different groups. Okay, and I put colors to these groups. So when the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers come up, I record where they land within these groups down here in the stats. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 correct winning numbers were the 10, 21, 30, 43, and 63. Okay, so the 10 is here in the red. Okay, so when you come down to the red area, you can see that there's a 1 here, and this 1 represents that 10. Okay, and then the next one was the 21 and 30. So there's a 2 in the blue area here. Okay, and then the 43 was orange, so you can see that there was a 1 here in the orange. Okay, and then the 63 was in green, so you can see there was a 1 here. Okay, so when that happens like that, when all 4 areas get hit, then I call that a row. And that just gives me some separation of where these rows have come up, okay? So you can see in the last drawing, there was no blue numbers that came up in the last drawing here, okay? So this strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to come up, okay? So in the last drawing, if I could have correctly guessed that there was none of these blue numbers were going to come up, then I could have eliminated these numbers and gave myself a much better chance at picking the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example. Okay, so my pick here is going to be option card number 4, no red numbers. Okay, so I have 15 of these option cards total. Okay, so here you're looking at option card number 4, and you can see where the red numbers are. Okay, and then you can see in option card number 3 where the red areas are, and then in 2. Okay, so all of these option cards are just a little bit different from each other. Okay, and that's the purpose of it here. So for me, I look at this and I say, wow, 22 times, 22 drawings, one of these red numbers have come up in the lottery. Okay, so you know, it just can't go on forever, okay? So you can see all these other zeros here, okay? It does miss every now and again, okay? So I'm just going to guess that, hey, it's in the 20s. That's a lot for this, okay? The longest streak here is 33, okay? So here's one for 27. Here's one for 33, but that's kind of abnormal, okay? So usually it's 20 that it kind of misses on. So again, since it's over 20 drawings in a row, I just have to go with it that I think it's going to miss. Okay, so I think that there's going to be a 0 right here, okay? Which means, again, I don't believe that any of these red numbers will be coming up. Okay, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so here's the game card again, and I'm going to scroll to the right. And you can read underneath group 1, option card number 4, no red numbers, and you can see those red numbers are gone now. Okay, so here we're at the game card, and I want to show you these numbers off here to the left. Okay, so this 8 shares the square with the 66. The 19 shares the square with the 67. The 25 with the 65. The 53 with the 69. And the 58 with the 68. Okay, so what this means is as I go back to group 1 here, you can see that there's no numbers off here to the left. Okay, so that means that the 19 and 67 share this square. Okay, so if I decide to get rid of all the green numbers here, then I'm going to get rid of the 19 and the 67 with all these other numbers as a group. Okay, so this is all I'm doing. I'm grouping up numbers and trying to predict correctly if they're going to come up or not come up in the lottery. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, okay, so the reason why I have these numbers off here to the left is because of the color code. Okay, so you can see that the 53 is blue and the 69 is purple. Okay, so I need some separation. Okay, so if I decide to get rid of all the purple numbers, I get rid of the 69, but the 53 will still be in play. But if I get rid of this whole square of numbers, then I'm going to get rid of the 53 and the 69 as a group. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1 for another pick. And my next pick is number 6, no green numbers. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards. And the reason why is because I want as many options as possible to try to correctly guess where that 0 is going to pop up. Okay, so I'm going to go to option card number 6 here. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one here is because you can see this 0 here. Every once in a while it doubles up or even triples up like right here, okay? As I go down through, you can see that there'll be a bunch of single zeros here, okay? So we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 single zeros in a row. I just think it's going to double up, okay? I think there's going to be a 0 right here, okay? Which means I don't believe that any of these green numbers will be coming up in the drawing. So I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the game card. I'm going to scroll to the right. And you can read underneath, Group 1, option card number 6, no green numbers. Okay, so now you can see all those green numbers are gone. Okay, so again, if I made the correct picks, okay, and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Group 1 for one last pick, okay, and that is option card number 9, no green numbers. Okay, so you know, I tried to read patterns with this, okay, but, you know, it's just mainly a gut feeling, okay? And that's it, okay? There's no rhyme or reason why any of these groups of numbers will miss or hit, okay? So you just hope to get lucky and pick the ones that won't be coming up, okay? So the reason why I'm picking this one is, again, because I'm reading a pattern, okay? Do you see how this 2 zeros are back to back? Okay, so it came up 2 zeros and then it followed with 2 more zeros, okay? Or this one had a single 0 followed by a single 0, okay? So every once in a while you got this, a single 0 that's followed by a double 0, okay? So the thing is that this green area has never had 2 zeros come up and then have another 2 zeros follow it, okay? So you can see that 2 zeros came up, and now this is a good opportunity for that to happen, where I think there's going to be another 0 here. Okay, so I'll quickly go down through. You can see that there was a single 0 between these two, okay? And you can see that just has never happened before, okay? So again, I think it's kind of due to happen because I've seen it so often in other ones, okay? So again, I don't think any of these green numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I go back to the game card here. I'm going to scroll to the right, and again, you can read underneath Group 1, option card number 9, no green numbers to it. Okay, so you can see that I'm knocking these numbers out here. Okay, so the more I correctly knock out, the better my chances are of hitting some kind of prize. Okay, so I'm all done picking from Group 1. That's all I feel comfortable doing. So I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from Group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1, where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so again, there's only 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I know that 3 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so how I use this is I have 15 of these option cards as well. This is option card number 1, so you can see where the red numbers are compared to the red numbers of option card number 2. Okay, so all the numbers are a little bit different from each other. All right, and how I use this is here's the stats for the for this option card number 1 here. Okay, so all 15 of these option cards had the same color code as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so how you look at this is I'm concentrating on this red area here. Okay, so down here in the stats for the red, you can see that I've broken things out into every 5 drawings. Okay, and the reason why I do that is because I want to see a majority. Okay, so here you can see that there was 3 zeros and 2 hits, or 3 misses and 2 hits. Okay, so when that happens, the majority is misses. So I colored the background blue for cold. Okay, so the next one down, you can see that there was 2 zeros and 3 hits, or 2 misses and 3 hits. Okay, and the majority is hits. So I colored the background red for hot. Okay, so this is the start of where the beginning of where I started to keep the stats. Okay, and as you go down is where the most current drawing is right here. Okay, so as I go down through here, again, since the lottery is so random, I know that nothing can stay cold forever, and I know that nothing can stay hot forever. Okay, so as I go down through, you can see that things got really hot here. Okay, so I know eventually it's going to turn cold. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so as I keep on going down here, I'm going to make a pick. Okay, and I'm going to pick at option card number 3. No blue numbers and no gray numbers. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one, and again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, but here's the blue, and as I go down through, you can see that things got really hot right here. Okay, they kind of stayed hot, and now I think it's going to start to cool off. So I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, that's what I think is going to happen. We'll see what happens. I don't have a crystal ball or anything. It's just a guess. Okay, so again, I don't think any of these blue numbers are going to come up, and I don't think that any of these green numbers are going to come up as well. Okay, so I'm going to go to the game card. I'm going to scroll to the right, and you can read underneath group 2, option card number 3, no blue numbers. Okay, so again, the blue was the 1 in the 38, okay, or the 40. Yeah, the 1 in the 38, and the green was the 3 in the 40. Okay, so this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, and now I'm going to scroll down, and you can read underneath group 2, option card number 3, no green numbers. Okay, so you can see the 3 and the 40 numbers are gone now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2, and I'm going to make another pick, and that's option card number 4, no yellow numbers. Okay, so again, here's option card number 4. Here's the yellow numbers, and as I head down through, you can see that things got pretty hot. Okay, and as you keep on going down, it's still really hot, and now I think it's finally going to start to cool off, so I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so I don't believe that any of these yellow numbers are going to be coming up, so I want to get rid of them. Okay, so the yellow numbers are the 65 to the 28 and the 61 to the 64. Okay, so the 61 and 63 are still in play. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the left, and you can read underneath group 2, option card number 4, no yellow numbers, and the 61 and 63 are gone now. Okay, so hopefully those numbers won't come up. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2, And my next pick is going to be option card number 7, no red numbers. Okay, so this is option card number 7, and right here is the red. Okay, so they all go in the same sequence here. It's red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. Okay, and then over here you can see what option card number 8, it's red, blue, orange, green. Okay, so again, it's just the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other. Okay, so I don't think any red numbers are going to come up. So I'm going to see what's left here. Okay, and I believe that the only one is the 31, I do believe. So as I go back, you can see that the 31 is the only one left here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from here again. Okay, show you the red area. And it kind of looks like 50-50 it's starting out. Okay, but then it just had this long killer run here. So I just think that, again, I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so we'll see what happens. So I'm going to go back to the game card. I'm going to scroll to the left. And you can see that that 31 is gone now. Okay, so hopefully that number won't come up. Okay, so I know it's only one number, but hey, it's one more number off the board. Okay, and if I'm correct, then my odds just went down a little bit, or they got better. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2 for another pick, and this is option card number 8, no green numbers. Okay, so here's the stats for the green, and as I head down through, you can see that things are kind of 50-50. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is that there's 2 blue spots here, okay, and 2 up here, and 2 here, and 2 here, and 2 here, okay. This is the only one with 4, and then there's 4, and then it's the beginning, so it's just been a long time since there's only been 1, 2 blue marks, so I kind of think there's going to be a third one right here, and I just think it's going to be a 0. Okay, so I think there's going to be a 0 right here. We'll see what happens. This is just one of those gut feelings. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the green numbers off option card number 8. Okay, through the game card. So I'm going to scroll to the left. And you can read underneath group 2 option card number 8, no green numbers. And it was the 66 and the 8 that were still in play. So I grouped them up and got rid of both. So hopefully those 2 numbers won't be coming up. Okay, so I'm going to go back for one last pick. And that's option card 13, no red numbers. And again, I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, so here's the red numbers. Okay, and I believe that the only one left is the 55 here. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the left here. Actually, let me go back and show you why I'm going to pick this one. Okay, so here's the stats for the red, and as I go down through, you can see that things are pretty hot, and they just kind of stayed hot here. So now I just think that it's going to be a lot of blue coming up. Okay, so I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so we'll just see what happens. And again, I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up here. Okay, so again, the only one left is the 55. So I'm going to scroll to the left. And you can see that 55 is gone now. Okay, so this is all I feel comfortable picking. Okay, so again, I started off with 69 white ball numbers. Okay, and if I'm correct with my pick, and the key word here is if I'm correct with my pick and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so we'll see what happens here. So I'm going to go off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 5, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. Okay, so how this works is, again, there's 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so that means there has to be a majority of either odds or evens, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. Okay, so what I did here is I I like to record what the majority is, and I like to record it every 5 drawings so I see what the majority was. Okay, so again, how this works is there's been 297 drawings, which I kept track of so far, and that goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers. Okay, so out of this 297 drawings, 151 drawings have been the majority of odd numbers. 146 drawings have been the majority of even numbers. Okay, so as I go down through here, you can see with this 5 drawings here, the majority was evens, 5 drawings to none. Okay, before that it was odds, 5 drawings to none. Okay, odds, odds, evens, evens. So I like to scroll down a little bit and then work my way up to current. Okay, and see what things have been. And I kind of think that this is going to be evens up here, the majority of evens. So I think that the majority will go back to evens for this next drawing. Okay, so when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers, I want at least 3 of those numbers to be even numbers. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next one. And this is high and low. All the numbers in red are considered high. All the numbers in blue are considered low. Okay, so when those numbers come up, I record where they land. In the last drawing, the majority was low, 3 numbers to 2. Okay, so this is pretty close as well. 146 to the high side, and 151 drawings had the majority to the low side. Okay, so next is left and right. Okay, so the red is on the left and the blue is on the right. Okay, so it's been 148 drawings to the majority to the left side and 149 drawings to the majority of the right side. Okay, so for this drawing here, I just kind of look at this and I see a lot more red than a lot more blue here. So I'm going to guess that the majority of numbers will be here to the right side. Okay, so one last 50-50 thing I have is this red and blue area. Okay, so you can see that the red has had a lot more drawings to it, 172 to 124. Okay, so I look at this and you can see that the majority has been red, 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 red forever here. So I just think it's going to switch at some point, and I think the majority will be blue numbers for this coming up 5 drawings. Okay, so when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers, I want the majority to be in this blue area. Okay, so one last thing that I have in here, and this is for the Powerball itself. Okay, so if you don't know how the Powerball works, there's 69 white ball numbers. Okay, and you have to correctly guess 5 out of those 69 numbers. And then there's 26 red ball numbers, and you have to pick one of those numbers. Okay, so 6 numbers total. If you get all 6 numbers correct, then you win the drawing, which is 200 and I'm not sure why it's not clicking here. Oh, there it is, 247. Okay, so as I come back here, okay, so what I did is over in this column here, okay, I took the 26 numbers and divided it into 2, okay? So if you see a blue number, then that means it's low, 1 to 13. If you see a red number, then that means it's high, 14 to 26, okay? So over here in this column, if you see a red number, then that means it's odds. If you see a blue number, then that means it's evens, okay? So why I did this is because I just like to look at the colors, okay? So I kind of think that this is going to be blue, actually, okay? For some reason, down here, it's been really hot, okay? So, you know, I got a 50-50 chance, you know? So I think it's going to be blue, so I think it's going to be a low number. And over here, I think that this is going to be red, so I think the Powerball number will be a low odd number. Okay, so that's my guess. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll down. And you can see the 50-50 picks. Okay, so a little story about the 50-50 picks is One time about 2 years ago, I reduced the numbers down to 10 like this, and the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers landed within these 10 numbers here. Okay, so I only got 2 correct that day. I only guessed 2 correct numbers. Okay, and that's where I came up with this 50-50 picks to give me a better guess. Okay, but this is why I keep on doing it, because it's worked for me once, and so I kind of know that it works if you correctly guess, you know. So I'm going to go to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 6, picking the numbers I hope will hit from group 2. Okay, so here I am back in group 2 again. Okay, so I have 15 of these option cards, and they all kind of look the same as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other, from each different option card. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that there's 15 red areas, there's 15 blue areas, 15 orange, and so on. Okay, so I like to keep track of that as a group, and I call that the group 2 overview. Okay, so I'm going to go to that right now. Okay, so this is just another thing to hopefully make a better educated guess. Okay, so as I get over here, this is what the group 2 overview looks like. Okay, so here you can see we're up to 297 drawings from that 2015 where they switched over. Okay, so how you read this is for the red areas right here. On the left side, I count the hits that were in those option cards, okay, and the misses that didn't come up in those option cards. Okay, so in the last drawing, there was 3 hits within the red areas of the option cards. Okay, so I'm going to say that like there was nothing here in this one, there was nothing here in this one. Okay, out of all 15 of these option cards, there was only 3 of these option cards that had a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay, so here I am back at the group 2 overview. Okay, so what I do here is that the magic number here is 8. Okay, so that will give me the majority of things. Okay, so if there's 8 or more hits, I color the background of this red for hot. Okay, if there's 8 or more misses, then I color the background blue for cold. Okay, so I just have to look at the colors now. Okay, so when I look at this, especially in this brown area, okay, I'm going to go back and you can see that there's only 2 red marks in a row and then a blue. Okay, so sometimes there's 3 red marks, other times 4, even up to 8 or whatever. Okay, but if you keep an eye on this brown area, you can see that there hasn't been a time where it's been over 2 red marks here, like down here. Okay, so I think that's way overdue to happen here. Okay, so I think that even though there's 3 here, I think it's going to keep on rolling for a little bit and be red here again. Okay, so I think there's going to be lots of hits among the brown area of group 2. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. So again, lots of hits among the brown areas of group 2. Okay, so in this yellow here, all the numbers in the yellow, that represents the option cards. Okay, so as I go back to group 1 here, group 2 I mean, the option card and number 1 for the brown area runs from the 6 down to the 62. So I want to see what numbers are left on the game card that are left here on this group 1 option card. Okay, so as I go back, you can see that it runs from the 6 down to the 62. The only one left is the 30, so I wrote it down right here. Okay, so I did that with all 15 option cards, and these are the numbers that were left. Okay, so I'm off to the last strategy. Strategy number 7, picking my numbers. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right, and the numbers that I'm going to go with for this drawing are the 12, 30, 32, 43, and 47. Okay, so with this combination of numbers, this will give me 11 hits on those option cards and 4 misses on those option cards. Okay, so I'll show you a visual on that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the Group 2 overview. And again, here in the brown area, I think there's going to be an 11 and a 4. And since it's more than 8, I'll be coloring it red like that. Okay, so I hope that this is what it looks like. Okay, we'll see what happens. Okay, so again, with the 50-50 picks, I thought there was going to be more even numbers than odd numbers. Okay, so there's only 3 even numbers here, and that's the 12, 30, and 32. Okay, so there was a lot more odd numbers, but I just think that it's going to go back to the majority of even numbers. Okay, so again, we're all going to look at this differently. You may look at it and say, wow, there's a lot more odd numbers. I'm going to go with odds, you know. So again, this is how you use the game. And again, the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 12, 30, 32, 43, and 47. Oh, and another reason why I picked this number as well is because back at the individual numbers, I thought this was going to be a 3. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so again, the 12 is in its own group. You got 2 30 numbers for the 30 group, and then you have 2 40 numbers for the 40s group. So 1, 2, 3 groups. Okay, so again, that's what I think is going to happen. I haven't seen a 3 in a long time. Okay, and we'll see what happens. Okay, but that's the reason why I'm choosing these numbers. Okay, so again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, and this will take you a couple times to play. But once you get it, you can take as little or as much time as you need to pick the numbers. Okay, so if you like to play my game, Decoding the Powerball, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Okay, I charge $10 a month. I'll send you my Google Sheets. Okay, and the $10 is considered a maintenance fee because I have to update the game manually every single time. So I have to do that 8 or 9 times a month. Okay, so you can figure it as $1.25 per game or something like that. Okay, so again, I appreciate you watching. Okay, and if you like my content of the channel here, then please subscribe. Okay, and as always, I want to wish you the very best of luck with your picks.